Landry, who's here speaking out about the teacher that preyed on her for sex starting at age 14. So what happened 10 years later that finally got you to speak out? And again, what you're doing now is so important because this is happening. We've talked about this 15 times a week in this country. And that's the people we know about.
That's the ones who get caught.
The vast majority are people like you who aren't telling anybody.
It took me almost 15 years to speak out, and it is by far my biggest regret in life. And the reason I didn't, it took so long for me to get to a healing place, but it took everything I had to leave that man. And when I finally did, I just wanted to leave it behind. I just wanted to move on and start a new life, and I did. And then I was having dinner with a friend of mine, and we were talking about the ordeal. And she asked me questions that stopped me in my tracks. She said, "Is he still teaching?" I said, "Yeah, I think so." She said, "Do you think he would ever do this again?" And for a week, that question bubbled in my head. What if he did this again? And I never told anybody. And that's what fueled me to speak out. So I contacted the principal of the middle school that I had attended, and I called him up and I said, "Look, one of your teachers abused me years ago. And I just want to make sure that your students are safe." And when I identified myself, he said, "I remember you, Andrea." And then he said, "Oh my God, it was Bob Baker, wasn't it?" And I just said, How do you know that? And he said, "I don't know. He spent so much time with you. I mean, he spent time with a lot of kids, but you were really special. Oh my God, did he abuse you?" That was verbatim. And I said, "Yes, it lasted for years. We talked for about a half an hour." And then he said, what do you want me to do?" And I said, "I want you to make sure your kids are safe. I'll do anything I can to help." We hung up and I heard nothing else. 8 months later, I got contacted by the local detectives saying, "Are you aware of a Robert Baker?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, we have him in custody." And I said, "I don't understand. I haven't given you a statement yet." And they said, "Oh no, he's in custody for statutory rape of two 14-year-old girls."
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
That was the most devastating moment of my life. I think that was worse than abuse. Because what if I'd come forward sooner? Could they have been spared?
This principal or whoever you spoke to the first time who remembered that you spent a lot of time with Mr. Baker,
Yes.
has he ever responded to you in any capacity even since these other two children came forward?
Mr. Baker?
No.
Or the
principal who spoke to Mr. Baker.
We've never talked since that.
How is that even possible? How can you warn a senior member of a school that one of their teachers allegedly is abusing somebody and there not be a more formal investigation?
You heard from the panel, this happens so often that people are so concerned about the reputation of the district. They're afraid of being wrong. And this is why we're trying to put laws in place to prevent this from happening, having proper reporting procedures and stop passing the trash. Because this happens so frequently, and that's what I found. And finally, the proper investigation was conducted, and he was saying he was innocent, of course, and nobody believed these girls initially. And then they heard a third former student had come forward, and he accepted a plea bargain. And so he had, I believe, 6 counts against him for those 2 girls, and he served 1 year and 9 months for that. He's a registered sex offender, level 3 sex offender, but he's free. And meanwhile, his victims serve this emotional life sentence. Yeah.
Are you all horrified by this? So what do you say to somebody? Because there are a lot of folks watching now that I'm aware of the magnitude of this, who are living through what you've experienced. What do you say to them? How do they get a voice?
You have to speak out. Do not be afraid. Speak out. Tell somebody. This is not your shame. It's not your secret. It's your abuser's secret. And everybody needs to speak out loud and clear. Teachers, parents, administrators, because we have to be the first line of defense in our kids' safety.
You should have been spared.
Well, yes, I absolutely should have. Yes, I agree.
About them too, but you should have been
Thank you.
spared. And we want to try to change that.
Thank you.
Thank you for bravely sharing your story.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back.